Is blindness a barrier? No.
Is deafness a barrier? No.
Are mobility, learning, cognitive disabilities, speech impairments and others, or even a combination of them, barriers? No way. Lack of accessibility is.
Welcome to Web Accessibility for All.
Follow the blind. This journey starts now.
Hey my friend, welcome back to Web Accessibility for All, the podcast where we make the digital world more usable, more inclusive, and, honestly, just more human. I am your host, Ariel. Today we are talking about a topic that's easy to ignore until someone makes a mistake, which, by the way, happens all the time. So here is a quick story. Some years ago, I was helping a teenager apply to a summer job. They were using a screen reader, and the job portal had one of those sleek multi-step forms. You know, the kind you hit next, and everything resets if something is wrong. Well, the teen entered the wrong birth date. Not a big deal, right? Except the form didn't say what went wrong. It didn't focus the error. It just refreshed the page. After the second try, they said,
"Maybe I'm not meant to do this."
That sentence? That's why we're here today.
The real talk. Errors are not rare.
Designers often imagine the ideal flow, but users don't live in ideal conditions. They are multitasking, dealing with anxiety, dyslexia, grief, a screen reader that just crashed, or a toddler asking for snacks. Mistakes are normal. What is not normal is punishing users for them. When we fail to design for errors, we are not just being careless. We're being exclusive. And it turns out that accessibility demands that we prevent errors before they happen. Or, at the very least, give people a graceful way to recover.
Slips versus mistakes. What's the difference?
Let's clear something up real quick. There's a difference between a slip and a mistake. A slip is when someone means to do one thing but does another, like tapping past a field accidentally or hitting delete instead of download. A mistake is when someone misunderstands what they are supposed to do. Maybe they think a lightning bolt icon means favorites instead of delete forever. Both are common, both are human, and both are design opportunities. As Don Norman once said,
It's not the user's fault, it's the designer's responsibility to make things work properly.
when someone makes a mistake in your interface made a mistake in handling it.
Accessibility guidelines.
This is not just UX fluff. This is baked into WCAG.
3.3.1 Error Identification.
You have to let people know when they made an error.
3.3.3 Error Suggestion.
You should help them fix it.
3.3.6 Error Prevention All.
For sensitive stuff, like legal or financial forms, you have to really make sure people don't make irrecoverable mistakes.
5 Error prevention patterns.
Let's break down 5 strategies that help to prevent errors, not just from a UX standpoint, but from an inclusive design perspective.
1. Smart defaults done right.
Let's say you are designing a food delivery form. You could auto-select the nearest location based on the user's region. Cool, right? Now imagine you are blind. If that default is not announced by a screen reader, you might never realize your foot is going to the wrong place. Tip: use ARIA describe by or visually persistent labels that confirm defaults.
2. Gentle constraints, not rigid ones.
Let's talk about passwords. We've all seen this.
Password must contain a symbol, uppercase letter, number between 0 and 9, blood of a unicorn.
Instead of frustrating people, explain requirements in plain language before the user gets it wrong. Accessible version: use ARIA lib regions to announce unmet criteria as the user types, not just when they submit.
3. Progressive disclosure, thoughtfully used.
Ever seen a donation form when checking add a dedication reveals a whole extra section? That's progressive disclosure. But for someone using keyboard navigation or a screen reader, the new section has to be discoverable and navigable. Accessible version: when new content appears, send focus to a clear heading or use ARIA expanded to signal the change.
4. Examples and previews, grounded in reality.
People don't always know what is expected. Let's say your form asks for a username. Instead of
Enter a username.
say,
Your username will be your public profile ID, like John Punto Do Punto 2025.
accessible version, make sure these examples are part of the input's accessible name or description, not just floating in visual space.
5. Live feedback, not just red text.
Let's say a user enters an invalid date. Don't just highlight the field red. Explain what's wrong. Place the error message close to the input. Move the focus to the error summary if multiple errors exist. Friendly reminder: red alone isn't enough. Not for colorblind users, not for screen reader users, not for anyone who deserves clarity. Let's say we want to show a real-time validation message for an invalid email field.
Less label. 4 equals email greater. Email address. Less / label greater. Less input. Type equals email. ID equals email. Name equals email. ARIA describe B equals email error. Required greater. Less span. ID equals email error. Class equals visually hidden. Role equals alert greater. Please enter a valid email address. Less / span greater.
What's happening here?
ARIA describe it by connects the input with the error message. Role alert. Make sure assistive tech announces it immediately, even if it's not visible. You can also dynamically show or hide this message using JavaScript when the validation fails. Just make sure when it does appear, it doesn't rely on color or position to convey meaning.
When prevention fails, inclusion fails.
Let me paint a picture. Someone using voice dictation tries to fill out a form, but the straight command deletes everything. No undo, no warning, just gone. That's just not a loss of data. That's a loss of dignity. And for people with mobility or cognitive impairments, starting over might be so difficult that they just give up. This is what I mean when I say error prevention is accessibility.
Recovery is part of prevention.
You want to build trust? Do this. Add undo buttons. Confirm destructive actions with clear cancel options. Keep entered data unless the user clears it. Don't rely on memory. Let the interface carry the load. And always test your error flows with people who use screen readers, switch devices, voice control. Because if your error handling makes sense only to the dev team, it's not handling anything. This is a great place to borrow the words of the late Grace Hopper, computer science pioneer.
The most dangerous phrase in the language is, "We've always done it this way."
So if your error flow hasn't been rethought in years, now is the time. Because people and their needs had changed.
The golden rule.
Let's simplify all this into one principle. Design like the user's future self is watching. The version of them that's tired, stressed, or flustered. Be kind to that version.
Wrap up.
Takeaways.
1. Preventing errors is the most inclusive thing you can do. 2. Clear feedback builds confidence, not confusion. 3. Accessibility means preparing for human moments, not just ideal ones. So next time you build a form, a menu or a checkup flow, don't just ask.
Will this work?
Ask,
What happens when it doesn't?
because that's where accessibility lies. Thank you very much for joining me today. Test your interface's error flow. Remember, the web is for everyone. Let's make it usable for everyone too. Goodbye.
Thanks for joining us today. Subscribe for a new challenge next week. And don't be shy. Leave us a review or ask your accessibility questions online. See you next week for another episode of Web Accessibility for All.